welcome to another up close video. So today's one is looking at the second edition for the brand new Tonic Stamp Club, which is a fantastic new concept where you get a stamp set, but you also get the coordinating die set to go with it. And this one cuts out every single little image that is in here, plus you're also getting a couple of extra dies that I'll walk through as well. I'm not 100% sure of the proper name of the release, but I've got a Turtley Awesome stamp set is written on the back of this one, or it could just be Turtley Awesome. But yeah, really cool punny kind of stamps this month with some really adorable little characters. I'm not sure if it is the same artist that drew the Adorable stamps, but it's a very similar feel. This was the elephant stamp set from the Adorables. They're not quite the same sort of elephants, but all of the font is the same. So if you want to mix and match any of the sort of punny sentiments, like for example, I don't think you get in this one that says a day you'll never forget. So with the elephants you could bring in this one, or you can do the go nuts as well. You have got the words go and nuts, but it's smaller in this month's stamp set. But I just thought I'd mention that if you have the Adorables, this is going to go really nicely with all of the different Adorable stamp sets that came out. You had the Ellie Goes Nuts, then you had Kirby and Lulu's Wash Day, you had Scent Whiff Love, Go For It, Sammy Takes It Easy, and also the Something for Harry as well. So if you got any of those, the style of these cute little characters in the second edition of this stamp club is going to go really nicely with them, so you can sort of extend it and have a few extra characters to go with your scenes, which is brilliant. And all of the font is a very similar kind of font, a quirky handwritten looking font, which I really love. So I'll go through these up close in a second, but I wanted to say, as well as, you know, last month we had the stamp set that was like an extra that you could buy. So if you buy the stamp club, you're getting the stamp set and the coordinating die set together. But if you want something extra that would work absolutely perfectly with all of the sentiments from this stamp set or any other stamp set that you have, you can also get this one, which is an extra die set this month rather than a stamp set, and it is the Banners and Strips die set. So it's got tons of different alternatives for how you could add your sentiments to your card. For example, if you were going to go with, like, I'm thinking of like a circus theme with the elephant and stuff, you could have this gorgeous large banner with your punny sentiment on it as like the top portion of the card, and then have the little animals at the bottom of the card. Or you've got like more of a fancy little design in this one, and then you've got like the nameplate sort of die that goes in the middle. You can add your sentiment. You've got this curved banner, another sort of more fancy one, and this sort of like bowed rectangle almost with the chopped off corners, a little double-ended banner, two that go inside each other so you can use the different sizes, some ovals. You've got a scalloped oval on the outside, then two plain ovals, and then a flat-ended oval as well. This one I love, the kind of swooping banner. These two are my favourites, these kind of banner ones. This looks brilliant on, I think I used two of the different sizes on two of my cards. Then you've got a little sort of pennant banner here, also very useful. Some stitched ones, which are brilliant. If you love adding a stitched detail around the edge of your card, like on your panel before you stick it onto your card, having a stitched sentiment banner to go with it is perfect. And then there's also this like dotted detail one in a fancy kind of a shape as well. So I just wanted to let you know about the extra die set that can go with it. And when I show you my samples, you'll see this crop up in a few different places, you know, of how I've used it to add the sentiment. Or this piece inside this one, I actually used it to try and create a sort of a rainbow in the background. It doesn't quite look that good, but anyway, I'll show you it later on. But I tried to sort of use this die set in a different way to show you as well. But anyway, let's get on to looking up close at the actual Stamp Club stamp and coordinating die set. So I will take these out of the packaging and I've got a piece of white card here. It had a bit of water on it, so it's a little bit warped, but it should work for this. But look at these gorgeous little characters. They're so adorable. I have actually used all of the little characters on the cards that I'll show you as well, because I just couldn't stop playing with them. But you've got a couple of different hippos. This one is so adorable. I think this one's a little girl, but obviously they can be either. And you've also got a little bow that can go in their hair as well, but I think she just looks so adorable. And then you've also got a second hippo that looks like he's going to give you a massive hug as well, or he could be dancing maybe too. Then you've also got two elephants. This one is so cute. He could be waving or he could just be walking along. And then you've got like the little baby elephant as well. So you've also got some kind of baby themed sentiments, so you could do a new baby kind of card as well, or you can have them together on the card. And then this one is a cute little tortoise. He's so adorable. Really, really sweet. I love tortoises. I got a tortoise called Charles, so I really do love tortoises. And I think the idea that they've added in the little party hats, I think he just needs a little hat on him. I didn't actually put it on the card, but I think he does kind of need a little hat on his head. So those are the main kind of larger critters. And then you've also got a little bird as well, which are always lovely just to add in the sky, you know, if you think the top of your card looks a little bit empty, add a little bird in it. It always sort of finishes it off nicely. Then you've got lots of different accessories for them. So you've got this gorgeous balloon, which I actually stamped 7 times and made a bunch of balloons that the tortoise is floating up, holding on to. Then you've got this little party hat here, and then the second little party hat over here. So you've got 2 little options for them. You've got multiple different little flower designs, which are great for building your own background, whether you're just stamping in a coloured ink or you're doing it in black and then colouring them yourself. Really useful. And again, you could put them like next to the ear on one of the hippos, or on the elephant as well, or even you could make the tortoise have a flower going through his mouth or something, and he could be holding a little flower. You've got a peanut that goes with the elephants, and that other one, the adorable stamp set, there's a smaller peanut in there as well, so you'd have 2 different sizes if you have the adorable stamp sets already. I don't think they're available anymore, so it's kind of, if you've got them, they'll go with this, but I don't think you can get them anymore. There might be some in America, I'm not sure, but I don't think you can get them anymore. Then you've also got a little birthday present, which I've, on one of my cards, I've tried to show a different idea of how you can use this to create a background. You've got a gorgeous little birthday cake that has 4 candles already on it, but you do get a little tiny candle stamp as well, so you could do a little bit of masking, or just use the coordinating die and add a load more candles onto the cake if you wanted to. You've got a little outline heart and a solid heart, which are brilliant for doing sort of background ideas, or if you don't like colouring that much, you could just stamp with a solid colour of ink to fill in the heart as well. Then you've got that little bow that I mentioned earlier. You've got a little bunch of flowers and that little candle as well that I mentioned. And then a cute little cupcake as well. And that tortoise just looks like he's looking at that cupcake. I think they go perfectly together. I'm not surprised they put them next to each other on the stamp set like that, because they really do go perfectly. And then you've got a ton of different like punny kind of sentiments and lots of different words that you can mix and match as well. So you've got have a turtly awesome birthday, because I don't know if this was, I think Maria is American maybe, so that's why they've called the tortoise a turtle. But in England we would call that a tortoise, not a turtle, so then the sentiment doesn't quite make sense. But I think people would get what you mean if you put have a turtly awesome birthday. Then you've got happy birthday in the cute tiny little font. You've got hippo birthday to you. You've got I hope your birthday is, and then you can do elephantastic, although I'm sure there's some more that you could mix with that. You've got party animal. You've got hey baby, time to party. You've got make a wish. I forgot your birthday. I totally love you. Wild go oh, so you can do oh I forgot your birthday, or you can do go wild. I am, and then you've got nuts about you, or you are, nuts as well, if you want to do that kind of a sentiment. And then you've also got Make-A-Wish too, so loads of different ones that you can mix and match together to create really punny sentiments. And if you've got any other like sentiment stamp sets, or maybe ones that have like mother, sister, brother, all those kind of things, I'm sure you could mix them into these as well, or even mix these with your dies too, your sentiment dies, like any of the sentiment strips or the new sentiment header dies that Tonic brought out recently as well. I think they were called sentiment headers. The ones that kind of didn't have a cutting edge along the bottom, so you could put them with a larger piece of card coming off the bottom of them. So that is the stamp set. Then the die set, which coordinates, it gives you the dies to cut everything out, so even all the tiny little flowers, the little peanut, the bow for the hair, the heart, absolutely every image on here has a die. And then, as well as them, because obviously the die set is the same size as the stamp set, but obviously you've got all this extra space that's taken up by the sentiments, and you didn't need a sentiment cutting out die because you've got that extra banner die set. So they've squished everything up and then given you two really useful dies. It is a cloud border and a grassy border as well, so it's absolutely perfect for building up your scenes on your card. And you can either die cut them and add them onto your card if you like building up the layers and the dimension and stuff, or you can actually use them to create your own stencil to then ink your own background and do more of a one-layered card if you wanted to. You could stamp your scene with your animals and mask it all off with post-it notes, and then you could come back in with a die cut of the clouds, like this kind of one, and then you can ink your cloudy background behind them and even ink the grass behind them as well. So when you're doing an inky cloud background, you kind of want to use this portion of the die, so the actual piece that it cuts out that you would use on your card to make the cloud borders. This is the piece you want to use to ink a background for a sky, because you'd start at the top of the card and firstly you're inking the blue sky, but you're keeping the clouds white, and then you move it down and you add a bit of ink, but not all the way over the previous cloud. So then again you're adding blue sky to define the next lot of clouds, but you're keeping the next lot of clouds white. I will show you a card with that on, and I might even like demo it for you as well. But I just wanted to mention that because I know it can be a little bit confusing of which way you should ink over like a mask to get the effect that you're looking for. But if you're going for white clouds and a blue sky, you want to use this portion of the die cut to create your mask that you would ink over. But with the grass, you tend to want to use the opposite side. So instead of using the piece that would pop out and give you the grass, you actually want to use the negative piece and place that over the top of the sky to the level where you want your grass, and then you ink it, because then you get the proper blades of grass going in the right direction and stuff. If you had the piece from the grass that was like this, you know, the actual piece that you would have used on your card if you were cutting it out of green, you would then get white grass and then a blend of green above it, and it wouldn't look quite right. So you want to use the kind of waste piece that you would usually throw away after cutting the grass. You want to use that as your mask, because you want to mask off the sky and give you the green grass below it, rather than having a haze of green above white grass. You know, I don't know if that makes sense, but I just thought I would mention that, because I think you can get a bit confused with which one you're supposed to use basically to give the effect that you're thinking of in your head. So yeah, I thought I'd just mention that as well. So anyway, that is this month's Stamp Club stamp set, coordinating die set, and then you can also go for the extra die set if you want something to be able to cut out all of your little sentiments. And you can do it either way with these. You can either stamp your sentiment and then choose the shape that you want and cut it out, or you can cut the little pieces out, like I've got a couple here, and and then take your stamp and stamp them onto it as well. Especially for this one that's got a tiny curve to it, you can actually put your sentiment on your block and curve it up at one end slightly and down at the other end slightly, and make it slightly curved to go with the stamp, to go with the die if you want to. Or this one, again, you would probably want to stamp that afterwards, because you could curve the stamp to sort of go with that die shape as well. But there's lots of different ways around of doing it. And again, with the stamps and the dies as well, you can do that two different ways as well. You can either have all of your white die cuts and use the method where you use the waste piece from one of the die cuts with your stamping platform, and then you can keep replacing it and stamping the image straight onto the die cut. Or you can stamp all your images first and then die cut them out, which is actually really easy to do, because the way Tonic have done their dies is the cutting edge is very close to the inside of the metal, and when you place this die for each character over the top of the stamped image, which I'm hoping you can see on just the little black image on the packaging, you can still see the entire hippo. So if you colour them first and then die cut them, it's really easy to line the die up and get them to cut perfectly. The only one you might have a tiny bit of trouble with is the balloon, just because this wiggly string, it would be easy for you to move that on your stamping block and it not to be in exactly the right position. When I did use it in one of my videos, I was quite careful to try and keep it in that position, and it did work out fine for die cutting them. But if you were worried or you had trouble with it, I do recommend doing the way where you have all your blank die cuts cut first and then you stamp onto them, because then you're going to get the tail of, or the string of the balloon to be absolutely perfect on the white portion of there as well. So again, it's whichever way round you like to do stuff, really. I mean, you might find it extremely annoying to try and chase a little die cut around your mat while you're trying to colour it, which would then mean you would want to stamp them and colour them first before you die cut them. But it's just whatever way you find's easier for you as well. Then, before I show you the samples, I also wanted to show you how you can then store these, because they come in the plastic sleeves with the 2 hole punch. So you can just use a regular A5 ring binder that has the 2 rings in the centre of it, and that would be a perfect way of storing them. Or you can actually buy the Tonic storage, which you might already have for the Designer's Choice die sets, although Designer's Choice do now have a duck egg blue one that says Designer's Choice down here, but I'd already bought this orange one to store my Designer's Choice in, and then realised that they'd brought out a new one for Designer's Choice, which obviously I had to have because it was a beautiful colour. So now I'm using this one to store my stamp club in. So I've got the first month's stamp club all in here. So you've got 1, 2, and then 3, and then you can just add the second one in here as well with those extra dies too. I mean, it does depend on how you like to store your stamps and dies, or like I don't know, how you compartmentalise your dies and stamps in your head. Like, do you think of, oh, that was a stamp club stamp set that I'm looking for? Or, you know, do you think, oh, it had cute little critters on it? It kind of depends on the way that you store things in your craft room, really. But I do tend to store things by brand and by like what kind of thing they are. Like, I have all of the Designer's Choice together, all of the kits together, so I want all of the stamp clubs to be together as well. So this works perfectly for me. But I just wanted to show you that they would all fit in here as well. And I reckon you could get, I mean, if you're getting the extra stamp set or die set each month with the stamp club, you could probably get 3 or 4 months worth in one folder. But if you're only going to get the stamp and the coordinating die, you could probably get like 6 months worth of them in one of these folders. So it is quite a good way of storing them. And if you're just going to get the stamp and the coordinating die, 6 months in one folder is pretty decent going. But I just wanted to show this to you, because I thought it might be useful to you to know that they definitely fit in here, and kind of like how many you might be able to fit in here too. So I'll be back in 1 second to show you the samples that I've done. Before I show you my samples, I thought I would quickly try and demonstrate how to get a really cool cloud background just using the die cut from the coordinating die set, and you can keep reusing this lots of times as well. Obviously I've used this to make one card, but it's still perfectly fine to keep going for a few other cards as well. I used to, I still have it here, don't move it over here. I made this piece years ago. It's out of like a piece of dough flex, which is kind of like a frosted thicker plastic that you can make stencils out of, and I just freehand cut this with scissors, and this is what I use a lot of the time to create my sky backgrounds. But look how much better this one looks. That looks so much more like puffy skies. But yeah, you can make these kind of clouds out of anything. If you had like a metal plate or a machine that's really good at cutting through acetate and stuff, you could try and get the die to cut through some acetate so that you've got more of a permanent kind of stencil to use, depending how much you like using it. And I'm going to show you with the brand new Nuvo brushes, the large blending brushes, because I've been obsessed with these recently, and I'm also going to do it with a distress ink, but you can do this with any kind of ink. I just find that using a larger brush, it's much easier just to use a larger ink pad, and also you don't have to use these kind of brushes. Obviously when I made this one, this was like, I don't know, back in 2012, so like 8 years ago. I definitely didn't have these brushes then. I just used to use cut and dry foam to begin with, then I got the round blending tools, then I'd use like the stiffer bristled brushes or the toothbrush style brushes. So any kind of inking method that you use will work to create this kind of a background. So you just want to, again, remember, start at the top of the page, because if you think about it, this piece is masking off the white clouds and you want to add the blue sky. So if you start at the top, you're going to be masking the white clouds and you're going to start the top of the card with your blue sky. So try and think of it like that to remember which way round you've got to do it. And then all you want to do is you can just hold this in place. If you've got one of those magnetic workstations where you've got like the big strong magnets, you could hold this in place like that. I don't really recommend taping it, just because you're going to keep moving it and it's probably going to be a bit of a pain to keep taping it, and you might rip the surface of the card further down and stuff. So I think you can just hold it quite nicely, and then you can just arrange your cloud border however you want it. Do you want a lot of blue sky at the top? Do you want a tiny bit of blue sky? You can have it going at an angle. And with this die, you could actually line the other end up and cut it for like the length of an A4 piece of card as well, if you want it longer, depending on what size of card you like to make as well. It works perfectly for the width of like an A2 kind of size card. So the actual die measures about 5 3/4 inches, which is like 14.5 centimeters. So it would work for an A6 card as well, actually, because I think an A6 is about 14.5 centimeters. So anyway, so you want to ink up your brush, and then you just want to ink from the clouds onto the card. This brush does give a lovely subtle effect. Obviously it's got those gorgeous bristles that help disperse the ink nicely and give you that really subtle kind of a look. So we can just keep going with this, build up the colour however much you want. This was a scrap piece of card, so it's showing some weird, I think I added water to it. There might be a drip of water going down there that's given that weird line here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but anyway, so you've got your first line there. You can see now we've got the white clouds and we've got the blue sky, and then you just want to decide. You could just come all the way down the card going like this, but clouds don't tend to always be the exact same formation above and below each other, so I like to sort of tilt this so that I'm lining up like one of these cloud pieces with where it meets on the previous cloud line. Get some more ink on your brush, and this time you're kind of focusing on this area, because you don't want to completely cover it because then you're going to get a blue cloud, but you want to add enough ink so that you can see the next cloud line, if that makes sense. So we just want to add a little bit more ink. You are going to obviously soften the whiteness of the cloud, but you're trying to still keep that crisp line right at the top. And then if you move this, you've then got another row of clouds there, and you've created a different cloud line, so this one now looks like it's behind it. So you could then bring this down and go for the next one, or you can line this up again. So I'm going to use this big portion, line it up with that small one, and then I'm going to ink again to give me more sort of layered, a layered cloud effect. So there we go. And then, so you're getting that nice sort of layered look now. So again, if you brought this down, it wouldn't look quite so samey if you were, you know, bringing the same cloud line down. But again, you can mix it and keep going with a bit of a diagonal on it to give you a differentiated kind of a look for the cloud line as well. See, it's giving you a completely different sort of feel to the clouds. Even though you're using the same cloud line, it is looking nice and different, which is good. So we just add a bit more, and you can keep going for however long your card is. If you want to do like a DL card, you could easily go from the top to the bottom, and like I'll show you on one of mine where I've added the tortoise holding onto the balloons, you could have all of the characters holding onto balloons and like floating all the way down a DL card. That would look really lovely. So lots of different ways of using these little characters as well and building up a scene with them. And then you could finish the bottom of the scene with the grass if you wanted to, or you could just have a complete sky going down the card. And you can see how tilting it kind of gives that different sort of look to the sky. I just thought it would be nice to show you how I create this kind of a background in case you've struggled with it in the past. I'm sure you've probably been able to create it really easily, but just in case there's anyone out there who hasn't been able to master it yet, I thought it's quite a nice technique to show, really. So here I have kind of been tilting it and going down each way, but now I might just bring in more of a straight line of cloud. How do I want to do it? I'll show you how to extend it if you've only cut one. So if I go along here and I try and ink like this, I really am loving these brushes, by the way. I know I already did a video on them, but now I've got lots of them to use with all the different colours. I really am enjoying them. They do give a gorgeous soft effect. Anyway, so then I've got like part of my border here, and then I can just bring this along. This almost matches up perfectly, actually. And then you can just add a little bit more ink there just to finish off. So now you've got a completed cloud line going across the bottom as well. So I hope that's kind of given you a little idea of how you can create this beautiful puffy cloud border to then add all of your little critters floating in the sky, or just having a cloudy sky and then bringing your grass and having all the characters on the grass as well. So now I've shown you that, just in case you wanted to know how to do that, I'll show you all of the samples that I've created as well. So I've done 5 cards using them. I did 2 with the gorgeous little hippos, and this is a video by itself. So this will be a video that will be up around the same time as this video, probably like the day after or a couple days after. I'm not sure exactly when I'll put them up yet. But I did this one, which is a sped up with the 2 hippos. And I made this little hippo into a little girl with using that curved piece from the extra banner die set to kind of give the illusion of a rainbow. Originally my idea was to use it continuously across the card, but it wasn't quite wide enough for the panel that I'd cut, which is like 10 centimetres or 4 inches. So I decided to try and make it look like a rainbow. I think it kind of works. And instead of having a pot of gold and a leprechaun at the end, you've got a hippo with a cupcake at the end of the rainbow. But I thought it was quite a quirky kind of idea to do. And then we've got Hippo Birthday to You for the sentiment. And we've got her with her little cupcake that I've actually put tiny little Nuvo drops on the little sprinkles on the cupcake as well. And to do that, all you need to do is squeeze out a drop of the Nuvo drops and then use like a tiny little ball tool. So this one is really tiny. I got these ones from Poundland. They're for nail art. But they work really great for doing tiny little Nuvo drops, and you can just dot them on, and if it hasn't dried with quite enough of a dome that you want, you can come back and do some more on it afterwards once it's dry to get a really nice domed effect on there as well. For the backgrounds of both of these, I was using this brush and the Broken China Distress ink. I just did a strip of ink blending down both of the cards, and then I took the one of Tonic's stencils. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's the one I used in my blending brush video. And did a strip of ink blending down the centre of the card just to give them like a really subtle, ethereal kind of background, because I haven't really grounded the characters. They're kind of just sort of floating in the air like a fun kind of whimsical sort of card. And then for the second one, I've used the little birdie up here. I've added a heart to the chest of the hippo, and he kind of looks like he's going to give you a big hug. So I thought I'd use the sending hug sentiment, which is one of these ones. It's this big one here. So these are new. They're kind of like the new sentiment strip sort of dies. So they have the sort of bubble that goes across the top of them, but instead of cutting a thin strip with the word going across it, it actually doesn't completely cut. So it cuts the word on top of a piece of card, and then you can trim it down if you want to. So here I did trim it down, and I snipped it in half to give the two separate words as well. But I'll link these brand new sentiments below. There's 4 different sets of them. You get for you, thank you, best wishes, well done, lots of love, sending love, get well soon, thinking of you, special friend, sending hugs, missing you, I adore you, happy birthday, birthday wishes, time to celebrate, and special day, in all sorts of different fonts, which is really lovely. I also think this font would go perfectly with these cute little characters as well, so I will link those below the video too. And then to finish these little guys off, I also use some of the, is it called Opal Quartz Aqua Shimmer, one of the newer ones, to go on like the little heart and stuff on these, and the bow on the other one. And then I also use some just iridescent sequins and some Cloud9 Dream Drops in the centre of them as well. So that is the first video, so that will be a video, a sped up style video on my channel. Then I also did another video because I love tortoises, so I had to do one just focusing on the cute little tortoise. Now I haven't coloured him very realistically, because if you've seen a real tortoise, which I presume most people will have, if I tried to find a picture of Charles on my phone yesterday, so I had it ready. That is kind of the colour of a tortoise, so he's very sort of muddy coloured, not really that interesting. I found another one of him. This was when he was going to hibernate, but he's kind of got like yellow bits on his shell as well. So they're very kind of boring colours, tortoises, very sort of earthy tones, not that interesting. But because I'd gone for almost all of the rainbow colours on these cards, I wanted to make him green to kind of go along with the rainbow. So he's not realistically coloured, but he looks very cute coloured like this, with a kind of olivey, greeny, browny body, and then a green shell. But yeah, much more exciting than if you coloured him to actually look what colour he's supposed to look like. But I really love how these two cards turned out. I wasn't sure about this background to begin with, but I do really love it. And the way I created it was, you can see I deliberately stamped these wonky on here as well, because I started off by taking 4 colours? Yeah, 4 colours of the Nuvo hybrid inks, and the little brushes that they do as well, the little toothbrush style ones. And I die cut the coordinating die for the present from a piece of white card, just a scrap of it, and then I just inked through it to give me the colour. So I just added a few yellow ones first, then orange, and then the purple, and then the blue, I think. Just using the same stencil, but just inking through to give these solid little colours all over the background. And then I just came in with the black outline stamp and stamped them wonkily onto the inked areas, and I think it gives a really cool like pop art kind of a background. And then to fill in any areas between the presents, I then just used the solid heart and stamped it, because I could have done the same thing and cut the coordinating die for the heart and inked through it again, but I thought you already have the solid heart and the outline heart, so I thought I might as well make use of the solid heart and the outline and just use the same colours of ink to stamp them and then do the black outline over the top. So I really love how that one turned out. And then all I did was colour little Charles the tortoise. I'm going to call him Charles because that's what my one's called, and then the little cupcake as well. And then I've got have a turtly awesome birthday, and I used this one of those banners. I think I stamped the sentiment first for this one and then cut it out, and then I cut a second of the banner and inked it with the same blue ink and then just like offset it behind it just to make it stand out a little bit more. And again, I finished with the Cloud9 Dream Drops. I'm kind of obsessed with them at the moment. And I also just used a sparkly gel pen to colour the strings on the present and also some of the hearts in the background as well. And I really love how that one turned out. And then I wanted to keep with the same colours because it was in the same video. So for this one, I used the Broken China Distress ink to ink blend my sky at the top of it. And then instead of inking the clouds and using it as a stencil, I just took, have I still got it out on my desk? Yes. This, which we actually got in a kit recently. It's the Precious Pearl Mixed Card Pack. And it's got 24 sheets in, and it's all of the stuff that you can get in the A4 sheets, but it's a mixed pack giving you lots of different options. So you've got the pearlescent white card in there, you've also got the glitter, and then you've also got luxury embossed, the ripple design, and also a damask design in there as well. I just used, oh, I've got a spare tortoise there. I just used the ripple design and the pearlescent one, and alternated them to give a cool cloudy sky. I thought it would be a little bit different than doing ink blending or just using white card. I thought having the tone on tone of the pearly white would look really nice. And then I just coloured all of my balloons. So I picked out, I was actually using my Copics for these, but I just picked out colours that matched the Nuvo ink pads that I'd been using to colour in all of my balloons. And then again I used a sparkly gel pen just to add some little doodle details on them. I used the I Turtly Love You sentiment and then added the cute little tortoise dangling off the bottom of it as well. And I've got a little spare one too. I loved him so much. I stamped 3 of them, but I only needed 2 in the end. But he's so adorable. So that's the second video. That will be another sped up video as well. And then the final one that I've done is this one using the 2 elephants, and this one is a photographic step-by-step, which I presume will be on the Tonic blog, but I said this in the last video and then I couldn't find where they'd used it, so I'm not 100% sure where it would be, but if you find it, let me know, because I couldn't find the other one from last month. But anyway, it's just an extra card to show you. So I've used both of the little elephants. I've made the cake into a little chocolate cake, and I've coloured the little bird as well, giving him a little white tummy this time, rather than doing him yellow like on the other card. This is one of the cases where I die cut the 2 little banners first and then stamped on them. So the I hope your birthday is following that slight curve. I did slightly tweak the end of it upwards and the front of it downwards before I stamped it. It's a kind of a little bit of trial and error, but you can keep like hovering the stamp over your die cut to see if you've got it right, but it would have looked fine just stamping it straight as well. But I thought I'd add it up there because it kind of looks like the bird is a little plane, you know, like pulling the sentiment along behind him. So I thought that was quite funny. And then I just added the elephantastic at the bottom. And this is the card that I've done the inking with the clouds for the background using this piece. So you can see the larger one we just did, it's just on a smaller scale because I've just used it on a smaller card. And then for the grass on this one, I cut the grass border and then I just use alcohol markers to like flick some different green colours on. And then I use the same greens to add little green elements in different places. So there's a green candle, there's green on this hat as well, and then I also brought in blue to match the bird, and I had orange and yellow as well just to give it fun sort of vibrant, almost primary kind of colours, and then I thought it looked a little bit empty, so to tie the colours in a little bit more, I just added loads of different Nuvo drops all over it, just to give it a really fun, like party kind of feel. It kind of looks like confetti is falling from the sky, maybe, and I'll give you the names of those because I've still kept them out. Oh, the purple one actually that I used on that cupcake before was crushed grape, and then the 4 that I've used on this card are Caribbean Ocean, ripened pumpkin, apple green, and dandelion yellow, and they're all the gloss drops from Nuvo. Gloss ones I think are my favourite. I always love using the gloss ones, and yeah, so I've just added them all over it just to give a fun kind of confetti sort of look to the card. So I hope you enjoyed this up close video looking at the second instalment of the stamp club from Tonic. I really am enjoying this concept of the stamp club and like having the coordinating dies. I know I said in my last month's video that I had never bought the coordinating dies for stamps until I got the Adorables that came out a little while ago from Tonic, but it really does make a difference, like having that beautiful beveled edge, like just looking at this tortoise, that beautiful beveled edge that having the coordinating die gives you, it just looks so professional. And I mean, if you love your colouring, you could colour a load of these, die cut them out, give them to your kids, and they could you know, build their cards, and then you can pick a sentiment together, add it to it, and then you've got a load of cards ready. Or just give them a load of thank you sentiments or birthday sentiments, and then they've automatically got cards to give to their friends or family members as thank you cards as well. Or even like we miss you cards, or with the hippo, I think sending hugs works perfectly with him because he does look like he's giving you a big hug as well. But anyway, whatever way you're going to use them, or like you know, however you make your cards, I think they're just really fun designs. I really love this month's one, having the cute little characters. I really do love adorable little characters in stamp sets, so I'm really happy that we've got these to add to the collection, and I will definitely be using this little tortoise a lot more as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!